Hello and welcome to WasteWise. This is the JCB Wheeled Loading shovel, and today I'm going to take you through your pre and post shift checks. The first and most important piece of equipment to check on the wheel loading shovel is the tyres. Visually inspect the tread pattern, moving down the tyre to the sidewall, moving down to examine the nuts and the threads to ensure that there's no damage. To ensure the correct pressures on the tyres fitted to your wheel loading shovel, please refer to the operator's manual. Moving on from the tyres, we're now at the front of the vehicle. From this position, we have excellent visibility for our cab environment and cab guarding, checking for damage and making sure no objects have become lodged or trapped. Moving down to the lights, the guarding on those as well, and then also onto the loader arms, ensuring hydraulic hoses are routed correctly, there's no damage, and again, no potential obstacles trapped within the arms. Coming down to the front end, visually inspecting the loader end pivot pins and their safety and security. This machine is fitted with an auto lube greasing system. If your machine does not have this option available, then wherever there is a pivot point, visually inspect the grease nipples for any damage and making sure all pins have enough grease to perform the shift. From this position as well, we can visually inspect that the attachment is secure, the locking pins are engaged, and that the attachment is hosed up correctly to the hydraulic connections. Please also refer to the operator's handbook for any greasing points that may not be immediately visible. Before activating the bonnet, please ensure that the rear guard is open. Once the rear grille has been released, we can then use the buttons to open or close the bonnet. With the bonnet now in the raised position, this gives access to the engine oil fill points and also the hydraulic fill point. Underneath the bonnet there is also a manual dipstick which will give an indication of engine oil, and then moving forwards on the machine for daily inspections, there is also a hydraulic sight glass which will give an indication of the hydraulic oil level without opening the bonnet. With the bonnet in the closed position, we can now open the rear grille. Underneath the rear grille, we have the AdBlue fill point and also the diesel fill point. It's important to remember that the AdBlue filling point must be kept free from contamination at all times. And also ensure you're wearing correct PPE for the relevant task. Now that the machine pre-shift checks have been completed, using 3 points of contact, we can get inside the cab. Once inside the machine, ensure that the seat is in the correct position for your operating style, your seat belt is securely fastened, and your steering wheel is adjusted for your position. With the operating position now set, we're ready to turn the key to the first position, which will allow the machine to run through a diagnostic cycle. Once the cycle is complete, we can then turn the key and start the machine. When commencing loading operations, it's important to have the bucket just off the ground and then begin to push into the material, selecting the gear applicable to the material being handled, driving forwards, filling the shovel, and then at the last second, crowding back and shaking off any excess materials. As you approach the trailer, the machine should be in a straight line, slowly making progress forwards, raising the bucket, and then as the tow plate clears the trailer with a safe distance, begin to discharge the load within the trailer. Once the material has left the bucket, crowd the bucket back down, reverse off and lower the arms to the safe travel position. If you're required to change attachments during your shift, it's advisable you draw the machine into a safe area. Apply the handbrake, lowering the attachment onto the ground and turning off the ignition. Turn the ignition back on, venting the auxiliary systems. Then leave the cab via 3 points of contact and disconnect and store the hoses appropriately. Getting back into the machine, restart the engine, press and hold the quick hitch activation button. Then, using the proportional controls on the joystick, operate the auxiliary service until the two red indicators can be clearly seen. Place the attachment on the ground, continue lowering the arms and proceed to reverse and roll clear of your attachment. If you're required to pick up a new attachment during your shift or at the beginning, draw towards the attachment in a straight line and then proceed slowly, making sure that you roll and collect the attachment. Once the attachment is mounted onto the machine, using the proportional controls, activate the quick hitch locking pins to secure the attachment to the machine. Once the attachment is secure, lower to the ground, turn off the engine and vent any auxiliary pressures. Retrieving the attachment hoses and making sure that the connections are clean and free from contamination before connecting to the machine. With the attachment on the machine, for safety and peace of mind, it's important to check that the attachment is fitted securely. Lower the attachment onto the ground, applying pressure to ensure the locking pins are secure and that the hydraulic connections are ready for operation. Upon completion of your shift, it is normally common courtesy to make the machine ready for the next operator. This involves washing the machine if necessary, clearing away any debris that may have accumulated, and then blowing out the wide core radiator to prevent any heat build-up. The machine should then be parked on a flat, level surface in a secure area, the bucket or attachment lowered onto the ground, the ignition key removed, and if necessary, the machine isolated.
Always ensure you have been sufficiently trained to operate any specific piece of equipment safely and efficiently within the waste and recycling environment, and that you are competent and confident. You have a full understanding of the operator's handbook and know where it's located. You respect site speed limits and safe working procedures. Ensure all of your colleagues are aware of site safety in the waste environment at all times. You wear correct PPE on site at all times as required by site rules. You conduct your daily checks and be sure to immediately report damage, service and fault warning lights to your fleet or maintenance department. Windows, mirrors and cameras are clear from dirt and debris to maximize visibility. Steps, handles, machine guards and engine bays are clear from debris and free from damage. You use the correct attachments as outlined by your dealer and manufacturer and ensure the machine is the correct machine for the task. Cab doors and windows are closed where possible to minimize dust ingress inside the cab. More importantly, always remember, safety is everyone's responsibility.